The BlokeBusters podcast is proud to be a member of the Pod Bros Network. You can find us, as well as other fantastic podcasts, such as Pencil and Ink Review, Another Damn Trivia Show, and Language of Bromance at podbros.com, as well as on most other fine podcasting services. Now sit back, relax, and prepare to share and enjoy the BlokeBusters podcast.
Welcome to episode 71 of the BlokeBusters podcast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Brian.
And before we get started, let's run into everything that needs to get done first.
Yes.
Alright, first of all, if you do enjoy this, please do rate and review us on the podcast grabber thing of your choice.
Take the 2 minutes. So grateful.
Yeah, we've got, I believe it's 18 reviews at the moment. 10 of those people have actually written, and it's always great to see. And yeah, we really appreciate people that have already done it. And yeah, even if you don't write something, just give us the stars like that. That would really
helps us.
out.
It helps the whole podcasting community.
Yeah.
So.
And so, where can you find us other than on what you're listening to right now? We are on Twitter at BlokeBusters, Facebook.com/BlokeBusters. You can email us if you wish at blokebusterpodcast@gmail.com. We are on Instagram. I've done sod all with it, but we're on Instagram. Yeah, have a guess at what we're called there. And we also have our own little website, which is blokebusters.webs.com. And that is it for now.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So, as you can probably guess, this episode is about 16 candles. 16 candles. Yes, and for those of you wondering why the hell we're reviewing 16 candles...
Why the hell not, I say?
Yes. This came about because this is the episode where we are going to do the Netflix one, and we were looking at the ones that have come out. And again, there were so many different ones that we could have done.
I think it came down to this in Pleasantville, maybe?
It was this,
Pleasantville. Top two? Or...
Yeah, there was another one, but I can't recall off the top of my head. And... yeah, I didn't want to rewatch Pleasantville because I did watch it when it first popped up on Netflix. Yeah. And then I said I'd never seen this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have seen Weird Science and I've seen The Breakfast Club. Uh-huh. And there's another John Hughes film I've seen, but I'm not recalling it.
Home Alone.
Yeah, Home Alone.
Uh-huh. Ferris Bueller.
And no, you know I didn't finish watching Ferris Bueller. But yes, 16 Candles was like, I guess, the one iconic film that I hadn't even started watching. So I said, why not 16 Candles?
I love the idea.
Yeah, the idea of us reviewing a romantic comedy from the 80s.
Mm-hmm. And also just, it helps, because, the more and more I think about it, the term chick flick kind of doesn't sit well with me anymore. No. So I think anything, hey, if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. Whatever the intentions or, whatever demographic they're targeting or whatever.
Yeah. And it's always... I was thinking about this as I was watching it. It's always fun for me trying to review a film that is older than I am, set in a culture I never experienced.
Even with my few years on you, this still was would have been kids closer to my kind of middle sister's age.
Yeah.
More the growing up in the 80s, not born in the 80s for me, Yeah,
because she's turning 16 and this is, 85, was it?
Yeah, 84. Yeah, 84, 85.
So okay,
yeah.
84, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, no, this is definitely not aimed at me.
Definitely, this would be my older sister's. But, it had probably been, I don't know, anywhere from 15 years or more since I had seen it.
All right.
So it was definitely a new experience for me, I guess. Yeah. So it's kind of like seeing it for the first time because there was a lot of stuff I didn't remember. We'll get to that.
Yes, we will. All right. So just nuts and bolts very quickly then. Directed by John Hughes, as we said. A budget of $6.5 million, which I guess adjusted for inflation, probably in the 10 to 20 range.
Film, for just
for back then.
Main set pieces being a high school dance.
Not too many
and
sets
a party,
in this one.
Yeah.
And made domestically, because that's the only thing that I could find from this far back, $23,686,027 US. So it made its money back, definitely, and I'm sure the fact that it worked so well helped when it came to the Breakfast Club. They were probably like, yeah, sure, here you go. You can take this and run.
Yes.
All right, so what would you say this film is about?
Oh, I'm just not even going to bother reading this. So essentially what we got going on is we're opening with Sam, who is the aforementioned, well, not really titular character, but it is her 16th birthday, so that is what they're referring to. This falls on the day prior to her older sister's wedding, who the family is just all consumed with. She is the older sister is more of the popular type. She is not. So essentially, yes, the two sets of grandparents coming in town. That whole thing. Let's get the house crowded and
in case you haven't seen this, but you have seen Home Alone. Imagine the mayhem that's going on as they're trying to leave in the morning. That's basically what is happening inside this house.
Yeah. So amidst all this wedding confusion and obsession, they have completely and utterly forgotten her sweet 16.
Yes.
A very, very huge birthday in a young girl's life.
Yeah. Which I would like to point out that even if they had forgotten that this was the day of her 16th birthday, surely they would have thought of planning something, knowing that obviously she's 15, about to turn 16. It's like, would you plan something?
Well, especially because wedding dates don't just happen out of nowhere. So you're like, oh, it's gonna be the day after Sam's birthday.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that dawn on you when you're planning the wedding?
Yeah. Or maybe make it a joint rehearsal dinner / birthday celebration type thing. But no, it doesn't happen at all.
So that's essentially where this movie kind of kicks off.
Yeah,
then
I think for this review we will kind of slightly fall back on our old method of kind of going over the plot as we hit it. So
sure,
because to give a rough plot of the film would be to give the plot of the film.
Yes.
So
and as always with all of our episodes, spoilers. So if 32 years have not been sufficient time to see this, pause, go watch it if you so desire, and then listen to our opinions and agree or disagree as you see fit.
Yeah, stop watching Breaking the Magician's Code and put this on for an hour and a half.
Stop watching The Office for your fourth run through, and watch this for 90 minutes.
So the people in this, it's a John Hughes film, so you will be not surprised in the slightest to hear that you have Molly Ringwald as Samantha or Sam Baker, and then Anthony Michael Hall is
the Geek.
Yes, the Geek, although his name is Ted, we never know his last name, or Farmer Ted.
Farmer Ted, as he is sometimes referred to.
Yeah, at some point she calls him Farmer Fred. He said his name is Ted, so she says, sorry, Farmer Ted. And then from then on, he refers to himself as
even
Farmer
after
Ted.
He corrects and says, I'm not farmer. I'm not a farmer. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he just accepts that this is his name now. And a surprise for me, at least, as Bryce, which is one of the friends of the Geek, John Cusack.
Yes.
A very young John Cusack.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, his sister, which should get a mention as well, as
John Cusack as, at least
Geek Girl number one.
Geek Girl. And I think, was it the one that had the neck brace? Was that her?
She was on the bus. We first see her on the bus.
Yeah, so it is her with the neck brace.
So she pops in there, maybe 4 times for the always hilarious "I'm handicapped" gag.
And that's the weird thing, though. Sure, the neck brace, that just means at some point she hurt her neck and needs this to get set. And so all it is she's just kind of stiffly there in the background, or the one main joke they did with her is she's trying to get a drink, and it's not going well.
It is not going well for her. And
I have one other name written down.
Okay, yeah.
And I know I asked you before how you pronounce this guy's name.
Sure, because I'm the expert.
Yes, right. We've gone with Geddy Watanabe.
Geddy or Geddy?
Yeah,
Geddy, I guess.
Gedde. So I'd say Geddy. He was born Gary. Why he didn't keep that, I don't know. Here we go. Long Duck Dong.
The Donger.
Yes, and don't worry, the duck is spelled D-U-K. So it's actually It's not what you think.
It's not the long spelling of duck.
Yes.
I will show myself out.
It is the biggest shock for me in this film when this character turned up.
We will, I'm sure, cover the un-PC nature of this film in depth, but that he is the forefront of that, I would say. But yes, they're placed there for 1984 comic relief, essentially.
I'll get into.
He does have some good one-liners. But...
He does. And I'll get into what I read a little bit about him as well.
Okay, I did have one more name because I think I don't believe you mentioned her dad.
I did not. No.
Okay, Jim Baker, played by the terrific Paul Dooley. He's. I'll just go ahead and say he's my favorite character in this movie. I love her dad in this. I don't know. John Hughes, the dad characters in John Hughes films are just always, I think, some of the funniest characters. I know Ferris Bueller isn't a favorite of yours, but I'm blanking on the actor that plays his dad. I mean, just snarky and I don't know, just kind of smart-assy, but still got the heart of gold.
Yeah. He seemed the most genuine character in the film.
So what angle shall we approach? Shall we just get into
I think we
the
have
horrible dated things in this?
Yeah, we can't go away and then come back to this.
No.
We need to start it. So,
prefacing saying there are some good bits in this. I don't know if you agree or not, but there are things they did well. There are things they portrayed well, such as at least something I'm familiar with, the kind of American high school experience. I think they got very close. Pretty accurate. If you're one of not the gifted, chiseled, featured people, kind of close to home on some things for this blokebuster, but they missed more than they hit on some things, and I don't know if it's just a sign of the times or. I don't know, but where do you want to tackle this first? The horrible misogyny, the racism. We'll get to it all.
To start off with, before we run into that, I will say I started to formulate a theory that he wrote this to parody those stereotypes.
See, that's what I'm wondering, because I even wrote that down as one of my notes. Is he trying to expose suburban racism, or are those just the characters?
Well, and there's that, and then he might have done what Alfred Hitchcock accidentally did. I know I've mentioned it before in other episodes, where he thought he was making a comedy when he made Psycho because he was making fun of the tropes, and it turned out he just made what he was making fun of. So maybe John Hughes, in writing this, I'll grant you, if you were to just read the script, I think it would have come off differently than the finished product did, because the finished product has all the inflections of the people that made it, and it might not have been exactly the way that he was going for, how it might come across.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, okay, so I think we have to start with the casual racism.
Okay, let's start with the donger.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I was looking this up, and the guy that played it at no point viewed that what he was doing could possibly come off as racist. He viewed it as a parody and that type of stuff. And it took him a long time to come around to the idea of, actually, that could be seen as racist.
No, I do have a question for you, Paul. So, when we're watching this film, are there any subtle clues that we can pick up on that let us know as audience members that he is appearing on screen? Do they let us know in any sort of subtle fashion?
Let's see.
Or not so.
Would it be the gong noise? Almost every single mention of his name.
Yeah. So he said. He said of that sound, I think the gong was something they added. Someone must have had a few beers.
Yeah.
He was certainly not aware that was going to happen.
And especially
in
the first 3 minutes from him being introduced to 3 minutes later, that gong is used, I think, 4 times. The very first time you see him, which is upside down, so yeah, of course he even looks more like yes, it's just anyway, and then when she goes downstairs to say that a strange Like, how does she say it? Does she say
I don't know. A strange Chinese. Well, Chinaman has said a whole lot.
Yes, it is, and we'll get to that.
Uh-huh.
But I think it's just Chinese boy or something like that. So at least that one's not too bad. And then I think before she even says that, the mother is talking to the brother and saying like his name is Long Duck Dong. Bang. And then he said. So, what? And then she said, Long Duck Dong, and there it goes again. And then she comes in and asks about the strange Chinese boy, and then she says the name again, but there isn't a gong. And then about a minute later, she says it one more time, and there is another gong. It's like, you're really hitting the nail.
You're really beating that dead racist horse quite a lot.
I was not expecting it. What about
the over the top line from the younger brother? Hope you boil the sheets and mattresses after he leaves. Holy shit! Okay, Trump, calm down.
It'd be about that age. No, he's still
but holy shit! How did that one get through? Even for 1984.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't think that could have flown.
That was my second most shocking line in the film. We'll get to my first shocking later.
I don't think that could have flown even in, say, Airplane, when they did have the occasional racist jibe, but in good fun, as it were, rather than just flat out racist.
Yeah, yeah. It's not. There's no joke there. It's just like, I don't want to sleep on these sheets that this stupid Asian has been sleeping on.
The only thing I can think of is the brother is supposed to be entirely unlikable. There's never a point where he is remotely relatable or anything like that. He is just the jerk of a brother. So,
and even it's later in the film, the mother and Sam recognize that. Like, no, he's not going to actually care or whatever that thing is.
That's psychopath of ours.
Yes, probably burning down houses in a few years. I don't know, but that being said, I guess Duck or Dong or Long or whatever you want to call it did have some of the, like I was saying, some of the best lines in the movie. I don't know. He did have some good stuff to work with, but
I could tell he was having fun with it.
Yeah, but
even
grandparents' treatment of it. Oh my gosh, yeah.
He's basically an indentured servant to them.
Your Chinaman is passed out in the yard. Or whatever.
I mean, my favorite kind of double take I've seen in a long time, though. I was like, oh, there he is. Bye, Dong. And then they drive for a second and then stop.
Yes. That was, that did get me.
That was a good point. I like that.
Like, holy shit. Yeah, he's just, he's shit-faced or whatever. 3 sheets to the wind.
Yeah, I think that was my favourite grandparent, was the dad, I guess, on the mum's side. It might have been, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Was that the same, was that then his wife that groped Molly Ringwald?
Yes, and almost always had a cigarette.
Okay.
Yeah. He was kind of fun, and mostly because he was one of those characters that seemed to have been written because everybody has someone in their family who's always laughing at everything, and that just seemed to be what this guy was for.
I did need to back up to some racism before we even meet the Donger. And that is when I think Molly and her friend are walking down the halls of high school, and she's kind of talking about, and she's filled out her sex quiz already, and and she's talking about kind of like her dream life or whatever, and she, she's like, she pictures herself living here, doing this, whatever, and then she's like, oh, on a Trans Am, and it's like, a what, or a red one, she
says a pink Trans Am and a nice guy, and then Molly Ringwald comes back with black.
A black one. And she goes, black guy? It's completely shocked. Yeah, black guy. Molly, of course, it corrects her. A black Trans Am.
Yeah, a black Trans Am and a pink guy.
What a relief. Yeah. So still a white guy, thank God.
Well, no. She specifically says pink.
Pink. Yes, pink. Okay, yeah, got it. All right. Oh my Lord.
I kind of let that one slide just because... Yeah, it's kind of funny that she's flipping the colours around, I think, but especially once Mr. Dong turns up, that one kind of went out of my mind as to what had happened. So, now...
Okay.
One question I have about this film is, did it seem to you like it didn't really know what it wanted to be? Like, there were one, maybe two nods directly to the camera.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but are we going to talk about the non-stop, whatever you want to call it, soliloquies, or just thinking out loud, or whatever you want to call them? The people just talking to themselves constantly throughout this film.
It kind of seemed
almost
like
every character.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like it was a Shakespearean play when you have the people who just kind of off to the side to the audience are speaking out of the corner of their mouths, and it was really strange. And also,
they're pretty much reading the stage direction as it were. Things that could be shot. So that makes me wonder, because I love John Hughes, but is that a sign of? I don't want to call it. Is it lazy writing when you're doing that? Because shouldn't you be letting the film show you what's happening instead of the character just so much saying, well, I hope I get into this party or whatever it is, and this is the worst day of my life, and we can tell it's the worst day of your life. They forgot your fucking birthday.
Yes. I think the issue comes with like what it's trying to be. If it's trying to be like a play, then it can work. But there is no real there's no real telling.
But is it a like I say, is it a play, or is it supposed to be a teenage party film, or romance?
One thing I didn't fully understand at the very beginning, I didn't hear her phone go off when she picked it up at the beginning of the film.
That's totally, I don't know.
So it seemed to me, until she said the words, "see you at school," that she was actually talking to the audience, but through the phone.
Or there's some sort of Fight Club scenario where she actually doesn't have a best friend and it's just her.
She's just in a room by herself.
She's just completely batshit crazy.
I better talk to myself now.
better at least pick up a phone so it doesn't look like I'm batshit insane.
Because we hear the phone go off later. And it's quite a loud ring, but there was nothing. And then did she just
have her friend on hold while she's...
Maybe.
And then picked it back up to talk to her. That's kind of what I was thinking, but...
Yeah, the friend's just on the other end, just like, she'll pick up again in a minute. Hang on.
Yeah. Can we talk about some Anthony Michael Hall for a bit?
Sure.
Now,
first and foremost, when he first came on the screen, I wasn't 100% sure it was him. He looks slightly weird, just a bit off.
Always looks slightly weird. But continues to do so.
But I know him from Weird Science and The Breakfast Club, and obviously this was a year before. But his face just seemed a little different in this one. It took me a second to realize it was him.
Yeah, it was 15/16 when it was being filmed and then came out. So. He's a scrawny little dude. But so we meet him on the bus. And I don't know if this is where to launch off into the horrible sexism and misogyny of this film, but we can dance around it maybe. So he just completely just gets up into Molly Ringwald's grill and just won't take no for an answer. Trying to pour on his machismo charm, and clearly not working.
What he thinks he has. Anyway.
Yes, exactly. So things aren't going well there. He's just essentially just being a total creep.
And again, is that supposed to be saying all geeks are slightly creepy and upset with this? Because he's very much part of the geek stereotype. But he has the ego of someone in the jock stereotype, so it's like a mix up there. And it kind of would have been fun to see a jock get mixed up and have the geek personality or something later in the film, just to see, antithesis to him. But that didn't turn up.
I don't know. Hughes seems to really kind of stick with I don't know if stereotype's the right word. What's the psychological term? I don't know. I'm looking I don't know. Maybe it'll come back to me. But just really kind of sticks to characters as they should be. I don't know, traditionally. I think, and kind of plays with them from within that. But so he really doesn't ingratiate himself from the moment he's on screen. It kind of makes him a difficult guy to like, which I don't know if that's the point.
Maybe.
Like you were kind of saying.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see, like, later in the film, she does kind of view... It seems like they're getting to know each other as friends more than anything else. Well, even with his advances and all that.
Yeah, which brings me to probably one of my maybe 2 or 3 favorite scenes in the film, which
I imagine you're talking about the one in the half car.
Yes, the half car, which is one of the most memorable scenes, not just from that film, but from this era of film.
I am fairly certain at the beginning of that scene they are both trying not to laugh and ruin the take when he hits over that bar. And she's far enough away that you can't really see, but I swear she's got her head tilted down so you can't see her smiling.
Yeah. But this, once again, like this is kind of where they kind of get to know each other a little bit.
Yeah, even though he has this other agenda, and I get the feeling maybe he's seen films and he's imitating stuff on that.
Yeah,
it really comes from nowhere.
I didn't quite go that deep into it, but he certainly lets his guard down because there's no one there to impress other than her.
Yes.
And at this point, I guess maybe I don't know if it was a well thought tactic to be intimate or to share vulnerabilities, but he does nevertheless. And then proceeds to try to sexually assault her multiple times.
With, I must say, a piece of fantastic writing from John Hughes, playing, and it pops up several times, he playing around with being able to misconstrue what someone is saying because of how they say it. So obviously he tries to force himself on her in a way, and then she says, like,
that's
no,
okay.
And then he apologizes, and she said that's okay. So he's like, oh, I'll go in again now. No, I meant it's okay that you tried.
Push myself onto you again.
Yeah.
No, not so much. And then just blatantly just asks if he can have sex with her.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yes, exactly. Honesty is always appreciated.
Yeah. I think there are 2 other times in the film where he says, again, reading the stage direction, he's saying, like, okay, so I'll say this because if I don't say it, then, like, I'll never try. But, and I think both other times he said it, she's left already.
And also in this scene are some of my favorite lines in the film. Molly Ringwald says, I felt how much you liked me. And he refers, something with our brainwaves?
Yeah.
Brainwaves? No, I felt it on my leg. Which was, okay. Pretty good from her.
And then immediately after that, like, he pulls something out, and it's just like breath mints or something.
I don't want to see it.
Yeah. And he's just holding his breath and like, no, like, oral hygiene, very important.
Very important. Alright, yeah. This movie definitely has its chuckles.
Yeah.
And then, speaking of a chuckle and a very dated line, floppy disks are pretty expensive. Did you know that, Paul?
Well, they might be now actually.
Yeah, because there's 6 left. So, yes, they are rare.
Yeah, and for fun fact, I think until about the year 2000, the nuclear launch codes for America were also kept on floppy disks, like the giant floppy disk, because they just never updated the computer. So it was, alright, there you go.
Yes. I do want to bring up, if I could, this movie, I wrote it down in my notes, loves the word jerk. Everybody is a jerk. If you play the jerk drinking game, you might get yourself pretty shit-faced by the end of this.
Everyone is a jerk, with the exception of when the Baker family are talking about people, at which point they turn into dorks.
Yes. But if you're dumb, you're a jerk. If you're a loser,
jerk.
Cocky, jerk. If you're weird,
dork.
Jerk.
Oh, jerk.
Dork. And jerk. Yeah. I mean, it comes up throughout the film, like, that. I think I wrote it down later, the dad says sorry he was being a jerk or something like that. She alludes to she was being a complete jerk, or,
Well, I think the problem with that is that was probably the word at the time, just like, I'm sure you find dude in loads of films from, I think, the 90s, because that was the word that everyone was saying.
Dude, Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
Also, I know we probably should touch on. I mean, just very briefly, there was some couple of homophobic lines as well that didn't.
Oh, really? Where?
Kind of. Well, first time there's the British cigarette terminology, I guess we'll call it.
Yes. For those of you that are unaware,
if we call them the cigarettes, then it's not offensive, right?
That's it. I'm going to be saying the word just as just to inform. Okay, there is the word fag, and in England, for whatever reason, it's usually used as a term for cigarette. I'm not sure how that happened, but that is the case.
I did not know the origin of that.
Over here in America, where we currently are, and the word fag is used as a shortened version of faggot,
which we also hear later in the film,
which is actually a little meat dumpling, so I'm not sure how that came about. But it's also a derogatory term for a homosexual person.
Yes,
so,
I'm sure people were aware,
I think almost specifically male.
Yeah, you very rarely, later. But, Molly Ringwald early in the film says being a total FAG.
Yeah.
And then,
I can't remember
don't be such F-its. And I said, yikes again. I mean, it was uncomfortable. I don't...
Again, the issue might be...
It's not a Tarantino film.
It is not, no. I think the main issue is...
You can get away with that harshness.
At the time, again, it was probably just common...
Yeah, it was vernacular, sadly.
And now that it isn't, it really does stand out.
Yeah, it definitely dates itself with its insensitive nature.
Well, and speaking of dating itself as well... How about we very briefly, as we're trying to be as brief as possible with all these things, touch on the other trope of 80s films that I don't believe I've seen in any other John Hughes film.
Okay.
Which would be... BAM! Naked woman.
Oh, yes.
What the hell?
In the spirit of Mr. Honor Knight at 11:17.
Boobies, man.
Boobies, with a lovely, classy... sound effect.
Yeah, I mean, even Airplane didn't add the sound effects.
I mean, it's just bam there, just scene ends, cut to boobs. And really creepily, Molly Ringwald and her friend checking her out, which is kind of bizarre, but
yeah, and it was not expecting it. Again, it's a John Hughes film. But as far as I know, no other John Hughes film has a naked person in it.
I mean, Kelly LeBrock got pretty close in Weird Science.
Yes.
There's a shower scene, I think, but everything is shot
the
pretty
typical,
sneakily.
The typical, Psycho from...
Yeah, shoulder up.
And all that. Mm-hmm. And but not in this, apparently. And then, so obviously it lingers on the boom shot for about 5 seconds. And then it cuts back to them saying, look at those. And then
I'll never be that hot.
And then
blah,
it cuts
blah, blah.
back to her, and not only do you see that, but now it's zoomed out. So you get to see pretty much everything except her feet.
Yes. Sorry, foot fetishists out there. You got shortchanged.
Yes.
Tarantino, back to him, would have shown them.
Yes, he would have done.
Would have probably zoomed in on them.
Yes, I'm sure. But, it was some of the worst gratuitous nudity I've seen in any film.
I am a Game of Thrones watcher. I am familiar with it. But it just like you said, felt out of place in this world. If I'm looking for that sort of thing, I'm not looking for it in a John Hughes film. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that... Yeah, who knows if that was this... I don't know what the point of that was.
I really hope that it was, again, making fun of that sort of thing in these films. I haven't seen it, but Porky's and stuff like that. Is that earlier 80s than this?
Yeah,
maybe it was making fun of that style of thing, and then
the camp comedies and
because
I Revenge of the Nerds and things of that nature.
I mean, the more I'm thinking about it, this had to have been him making fun of that type of thing, and it's been I haven't seen enough of those to fully get everything. Yeah, but. Yeah, it was even more unexpected than the later racist character of Dong. It was.
Let's call it a wash. Let's call it a tie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Because I definitely did not. That was one of those things, and I guess there's a reason I don't remember it, because I probably saw it on television.
Yeah,
and it was edited out.
Yes, that would probably have been edited out. Either that or the entire screen would have gone that weird, like, looking through frosted glass type thing for a bit. Yeah, and they'll go, why did they do that?
The airplane cut.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on.
Now, how about we talk about some of the things we like?
Yes. Oh, perfect.
And then
I'm so happy we're on the same page.
I'll say, and then if there's anything else you want to bring up at the end, we can go back.
Well, we definitely need to touch on the misogyny, and I don't mean touch. I mean we need to talk about it, because it is rampant.
Yes, we need to stand about a foot away from the misogyny and view it rather than.
Yes, but I will go to. I said the car scene was probably one of my top 2 or 3. My favorite scene, and I already kind of maybe foreshadowed this a little bit with my appreciation of Paul Dooley's character, but the heart-to-heart that he has with Molly when she's laying on the couch really was a touching scene.
I would say probably the best writing in the film.
And it played very, very, very well. Like, I know Paul is a man of stone and wouldn't shed a tear if you cut an ear off, but I felt myself getting a little verklempt. No actual water works, but it did kind of touch me, because he's just being a dad, just listening to while he's about to walk away, say, okay, it's fine, whatever, and then he's, no, I'm gonna ask again, like, there's something up, what's going on,
and it was actually a really cool scene. I wasn't expecting it to have the ups and downs, as it were, because obviously he comes down to explain, like, we forgot your birthday,
and he's been a real jerk.
Yes, he has been a real jerk. That. Yeah, the only time you don't hear them referring to themselves as dork is that scene where he's been a jerk, and so there's that, and then also, like, he says, he knows there's something else, and then when it's like, it's a guy, and then he thinks it's talking about the guy that the sister is going to marry, and then I thought it was going to end like with that, and then he was going to go, oh, it'll be okay, well, good night, and then, but no, they actually continued on and have him realize, like, we're not conversing here, we need to.
Yeah, we're not connecting.
Wow, I appreciated that being in there. That's not something I was expecting.
Yeah, from this film. I mean he essentially says this isn't verbatim, but essentially the idea is, it's like if this guy, whatever, can't see what I see in you, like the greatness, and that's just a really wonderful thing for the father to say.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting emotional now talking about it, but and then she just says, but it hurts, so much, and then one of the greatest lines, that's why they call them crushes.
Yes, if it was easy, they'd call them something else. Yes. Which was a great.
Really resonates with someone developing and coming of age.
And then also possibly the most honest parent line of all time, which is when he says, I won't be able to go to bed unless I feel this has helped you, so lie to me, will you?
Even lie, just lie to me.
It's like, that's it.
It was beautiful writing, and it was wonderfully acted by Molly Ringwald and Paul Dooley. Yeah, they just nailed that scene.
Yeah.
There was this movie, for all of its faults, gained some points back with that scene for me.
And like, some of the other little things I liked is the scene where the guy that she's after is talking to his friend and saying, like, oh, do you know who Samantha Baker is? And he's like, yeah, I think she's this person. What do you think of her? I don't. And yeah, you see them doing the pull-ups, and as I was watching it, I was thinking, they're too low. And then it just, like, and they keep going, like, they keep doing the pull-ups and all that, and then he's got his arms over the bar and he's holding himself up, and then they do just zoom out to show that they are just standing there. It's like, you know what, I like that.
So were they doing that, like, who are they doing this bit for then? Just themselves?
Yeah, I think something tells me what happened was they were told that it's gym class, they're supposed to be in gym, so they're like, okay, we're in gym, we're working out. At least that's what I took from it. And I appreciated that was in there. It was just such a silly thing, but I was like, you know what, I'm fine with it.
Okay. Yeah.
And I really liked Ted talking with Jake. Jake being the guy that's monitoring.
Yes.
I
the
pretty much
poor
like
man's
every
Matt
scene.
Dillon, I think, is really who they're going for there.
I think that I liked every scene where the two of them are talking because their dynamic changes as the film goes on.
Yeah, and that's not something you would actually typically see in
these
a high school or a high school type film, is the jock and the nerd or geek having real conversations, not him just getting shoved into a locker.
Yeah, and I think my favorite scene between the two of them is when they're talking in the kitchen, and he's like, "Well, what do you think I should do?" And Ted's response is, "Probably this isn't my area of expertise." I have no idea what I'm talking about, even though he's just been giving all of this advice.
Well, do you have any other wonderful moments? Because that actually transitions very well. If you don't,
I'll have a couple that might come out. But let's hear this one.
Cool, because then I'm going to go into this horror. Like, at least I think the most egregious errors in the film. The most unfortunate and shocking line, second to gonna have to burn the sheets and whatever all that is. Jake and Carolyn have been arguing. Is it Carolyn or Caroline? I don't know. Who cares?
Whatever.
Exactly.
She's probably used both in the film and we didn't notice.
Pretty blonde girlfriend. Long boobies.
And who's also, I guess, just incredibly stuck on I just want to be popular. That seems to be her only character trait.
Yeah. So anyway, they've been kind of at odds with each other most of the day, and it kind of comes to a head at this after prom or after dance party. Not prom, it's after just some
it's
dance.
A dance, and she told some people like, "Oh, come to his house, but don't tell anybody, so you know there's going to actually be a party that trashes the house," which there is.
So she proceeds to just completely get obliterated, and
gets her hair shut in the door.
Yeah, this whole kind of thing. Whatever happened, and then it passes out. At least we're informed by this line, because Jake and Ted are having the talk, Farmer Ted, and he's kind of saying like, well, he really wants a relationship. He's like, I can get pretty much word for it, I can get a piece of ass anytime I want. Yeah. So we're already all right. This is our protagonist love interest, hell of a guy. Yeah. And I
mean, but before you get to the line, I will say that particular line could be in it to have him saying like, I am good looking enough to get anyone I want, but that isn't what I'm looking for. Which would have been great. Stop there.
Stop there. Stop. You said it. Just a quick
cut
snip. The tape. Yeah, let's just cut out that tape.
I don't care if it ends up being an awkward jump across the counter to something.
Yeah, but instead, what we are given is...
I take it you wrote this one down?
I did write this one down.
Alright, good.
So, Jake about Caroline, he said, she's... this is the first part, may not be verbatim, says, she's in there, the room passed out, or she's passed out. I could violate her 10 different ways if I wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah, you've now gone into
the wrong
you've
territory. Gone into Cosby territory. And I don't... I'm chuckling, but that is seriously off-putting.
Yeah.
And it's just so wrong.
And
still, once again, like I said with the other line, still for 1984, how is that okay? Like, there's no way that was okay to... even to have that as a thought, like he's saying, he's not saying he's going to do it, but we'll get into more egregious things that happen in the movie or alluded to have happened, having happened in the film.
It's a thing of
seriously,
it is
like
genuinely
that's accepted culture. Like that's why we have these frat boy assholes. I'm sorry that think it's okay to drug women, and I'm sorry I'm getting political here, but that's why they think that's okay.
But I say it's understandable because, as I was just going to say, there is no other way of looking at it. It is straight up a rape joke. Those two words should not be in the same sentence.
No, they should not.
I mean, even back then,
you're
like
her boyfriend. She's passed out. Go give her some water and some crackers, and let her throw up.
Or if you don't like her, which at this point we know he definitely does not like her anymore. Just leave her alone. Just maybe maybe it could have been she's passed out in there. and I could have taken advantage of her if I wanted to, but I didn't. That's even better than just, I can think of 10 ways I could violate.
Really? Let's hear them. Let's not.
I would say, even if I wanted to try and think of a way to, I can't think of more than, 3. What the hell is wrong with this guy?
This is one, and so then, that's the thought I'm having. Like, this is Molly Ringwald's, dream guy. I think Ted, being a good friend, should let her know what a piece of shit he is. And hey, don't drink too much around this piece of shit. Because he's very creative, and so I hear.
Or just go outside and just be like, by the way, please try and break up amicably if it doesn't work, because I'm a little worried for your safety. Do it in public around a lot of friends.
So then the conversation continues in that kitchen, and so is Jake giving? I've referred to him as AMH in my notes, Anthony Michael Hall.
Yep. So Ted. Yep.
Yeah, or Ted. Or Geek, whatever. Yeah, is he giving him essentially permission to rape his girlfriend? And I know, I'm sorry, we should not get off of that word, but I feel like that is what's happening. He's like, you guys will have a fun time or whatever, she won't even know what's going on. Doesn't he say something like that?
Yeah. There's a scene that...
It's very on the border, and it made me very uncomfortable.
That's the thing. It's a scene that, under any other circumstance, if you completely cut out exactly what we've just been talking about, if you cut that out of the scene but left everything else in there, when they got to the car, and he's doing that thing and she's like, who are you? And he goes, he's me. And who are you? I'm him.
I'm him.
That would
never work. But
it
I've never been that drunk, and I've been pretty drunk.
It would never work. But then it could have come off as slightly goofy and slightly funny, and that could have worked. However, in this, it is going down. Now that we know what he's been talking about and what I guess he's able to think of, it does veer into a little iffy.
Which I think only the real direct fourth wall break. Where Anthony Michael Hall turns to camera and says, "This is getting good."
Yeah,
which gross because she proceeds to pass out in his lap while he's driving Jake's dad's car.
Yeah,
yeah.
Now, and I want to know. Actually, it's a little weird thing. So obviously that happened. He goes up and then he turns up at the other guy's house, and I'll jump back to this in a second. But anyway, so he turns up. They come outside. She's in the back seat.
Mm-hmm.
When did that happen? It's not like he's strong enough to really...
Yeah, so she just drunkenly crawled back there?
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes. Another bit that I just kind of like and is never explained. There's no whatsoever. There's no context given. These two guys... I don't think they're brothers, but they appear to be in the same room.
Well, they're probably just having a sleepover. Just a dude sleepover.
Yes,
yeah.
It's just very weird. They're both in the window of the same house. It's and then they start arguing like an old married couple.
See, that's in the spirit of, I think we've talked about this before, the side character films, and maybe I think was it Honor, maybe we talked about it, or no, perhaps Steven, but in the spirit of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. I want to see their movie.
Yeah,
these two knuckleheads, these two jerks, just in their antics with their headlamps and their radios and Walkmans.
And what I want to know, apparently the jocks dropped them off back at their house.
Very nice jocks. Yeah. You're gonna have to ride in our trunk, but we'll give you a ride home.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I was waiting for the payoff for the so they turn up, they get out, they pull the guys out. They pull the one guy out of the trunk, the next one just shuffles over. He's next in line. He's picked up, and then they put them down, and they just kind of look at them, and then get back in the car and drive off. And it's okay. All right, that's fine.
Yeah. That's the nicest asshole ever. All right.
And also, the reason for that is a point where you find out that Ted is definitely out for him and him alone, because he knocks over the pyramid of beer cans these guys were working on, and so he just immediately sells out.
Well, they're each out for who. Well, then John Hughes sells out the next guy. Yeah.
And then I kind of was hoping that the third guy would then turn around and like either talk to the wall and go like, yeah, you see, and then try and walk off, or like just pick up the one can and just put it on top of another one. Just like, here you go.
Got you started.
Yeah. Or I genuinely thought what would happen is we would cut away and have some more of the other scene, and then cut back, and he's teaching them how to make a better actual pyramid. Like
a structurally, with structural integrity.
Yeah, so that if someone knocks it, it will actually stay kind of put. Like I thought that was where they were going to go with it. And they didn't, but there we go.
So sorry to bring it back around to
that's
this.
Fine, we got it.
But, I mean, because I do have questions here. So, we're pretty much told that Farmer Ted and Carolyn had sex.
Yeah.
At the very least, had some sort of intimate goings on.
They both seem to think that it did happen, even though they were both. I don't know how Ted ended up that drunk.
That's my other question. Like, how consensual was this? Because was he? I mean, he made himself a martini in the kitchen with Jake.
Yeah.
But is that all? I guess you're 15 if you haven't had alcohol before. That may get you pretty drunk.
They did put cans of beer in the car. Like he put some more beers in the car, but she was barely conscious, which then again I'm getting on my high horse here. She's drifting in and out of consciousness, and then he from the last time we see him, he gets drunk enough to completely forget everything, I guess, and then they both wake up and they're like, did we? And she says, I think we did, and it's like how do you?
And she's like, it was. I think it was good or whatever. Yeah.
But
back to the picture, even like get your fucking filthy hands off her. Like, you're putting her goddamn legs in your lap and shit, and like, dude, like, seriously, like, that's another person. Get your fucking hands off her. Alright. I'm getting upset here.
I think I have come to, I don't care if it's true or not, I'm going to say that this film was written as a parody of all of those other films where the people act like that.
See, I think you might be giving it too much credit, but
now, I have to view it like that
for your own,
because I don't want to think that the guy that wrote The Breakfast Club,
that's what I don't want to think either.
And Weird Science. I mean, Weird Science is where he kind of did this type of humor, but did it well because the person who actually has all the power is the woman. Like that's how exactly. But I don't want to think that before he wrote that, he did this and did this on purpose when it wasn't a parody. Like that's where I'm like I refuse to believe that.
But then even so, like in the morning when Carolyn and Farmer Ted are talking, like, are we? I mean, seriously supposed to believe that this gorgeous beauty queen, prom queen, whatever, is into Farmer Ted in a sober light of day? Because they snog there,
and only because she thinks he was good in bed.
Thinks maybe kind of, sort of, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I will say is, given that this film takes place over a day and a half, because they don't even reach night on the second day, like the next day, maybe they try again, and she goes, "Actually, no, I don't like you," and then that's it. That's the end of that relationship. And this time I also want to say that Molly was sorry for being a jerk to Jenny, her older sister. That did come back up. I was counting the jerks, kind of, pretty much. I had to say, I did kind of enjoy the sister being completely out of it for the entire wedding. Like,
it's pretty good, like having a seat in the pew. Like, I need a rest. I need a break or whatever.
I hated the character at the beginning when she was talking to Sam. I hated the character.
Yeah, you're being selfish.
However, that person, the person that played her, whatever it was, like, good at the physical comedy. Like, just the being able to, like, flop around, like you said, have a seat in the pew, and then when they're outside, it was just like, I'm just gonna lie down here. I'm just gonna take that.
It's very confusing. The actor's name is Blanche Baker, which was the family's surname.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. But she played Jenny Baker.
Yeah. And I do like that we know next to nothing about the groom, other than they've only been in a relationship for 6 months.
And he is a giant tool bag, which
yes,
it's supposed to be, but yeah.
Bohunk, I believe it was.
Bohunk is thank you. I was eating holes in my brain trying to remember that great slam.
I had to say I've never heard that word before this
film. No, and I don't think I've heard it since.
Yeah, I have no idea what it's supposed to be, but I guess back then, again, maybe that was the thing, and then people stopped saying it when they realized how stupid it was.
And let's put it on celluloid. People will be calling each other bohunks forever. All right. Shall we get to the last little bit?
I think so.
Yeah, so anyway, wedding over, Sam comes out. Of course, traffic or the bus clears or the limo clears or whatever. Everyone drives away.
Everyone drives away, and
we see Pretty Boy with his pretty car.
And even though I knew it wasn't going to happen, I was really hoping there was a Final Destination going to happen where he was going to cross the street and immediately get run over.
Oh, I would love an alternate take of that. Yeah, just completely slammed by just a car out of control. Yeah.
Oh, by Ted.
By
Ted driving by
drunk. And driving his dad's car with his former girlfriend, and they run him over. But no, that does not. We are not treated to that.
And a little bit of I don't know if it's a continuity issue or something, but I don't know how the dad hadn't already left. Everyone else had gone, and then they're just getting to the car as she's leaving. It seems like that was wrong.
I've gone to a few weddings in my family. I don't think my dad would be totally cool with me skipping the reception just to chase a girl or a love interest in it, but she just kind of mouthed, "This is the boy." That's the boy. I'm totally gonna go have sex with him. Essentially, what's going on there? Yeah. And he's like, "All right, have fun, you two."
That's the odd thing. It's like she's like, "Yeah, that's him," and nothing else. Like no hint of where they're going. Like she doesn't have a mobile phone because they didn't exist back then. Like
for Paul Dooley being a great dad in this movie, you should have walked up to that car like, if you touch my daughter inappropriately, I will shove your head through a wall. Something of that sort.
Or at the very least have Jake turn around and sort of a nod to the father, like something.
Yeah, something like, she's in good hands. Like, I'm a decent dude, even though I can think of at least 10 ways I could violate her if she has too much to drink.
Well, now that she's awake, it drops to 6.
Yes. He loses creativity with her awake. So anyway, then we have the shot of the film. The most iconic shot of this film, and probably one of the most iconic John Hughes shots. It's the two shot.
And the reason this film is named 16 Candles is in the last minute of screen time.
Yes, exactly. Finally, she gets her birthday cake, and we got the two shot of them in his window, legs crossed. It is a beautifully shot scene. It does look really nice.
Yeah, and as far as I could tell, natural lighting as well. Like they did use the. I think there was a lamp off to the side, and then just the 16 candles, which we assume is 16 candles because at no point do we see a shot close enough to actually be able to count them.
Assume that. I hope that they wouldn't screw that up. But we get the somewhat cheesy line, but it's good for this movie. Make your wish. It already came true. Lean in, kiss, credits. And then let the horrible misogynistic violating begin.
Yes, and very odd credits as well, because it just came up with the 5 main named people in the film, and then the actual credits turned up. It was like I'm not sure I fully understood.
And the song 16 Candles, of course. Yeah.
Yes, which I'll admit I skipped past. I just
it's alright. I let it play for about 30 seconds, and I'm like, I'm good. So that's your film, folks. I know we normally don't just kind of actually go through the plot, but we kind of had to with this one because it is just a very linear thing with some of the scenes. We didn't touch on, I guess, probably the most racist line coming from Dong,
which is just when he yelled "Banzai" and jumps off the thing. But I think that the actor playing it like just sort of owned it, and it kind of worked for me. So
long live the donger. Yeah.
Alright, so do you have a particular rating for
I
it?
wasn't really going to bother with our typical blockbuster ratings. We
are the wrong audience. That's the problem with this one. We really aren't right for this film.
Well, I do want to say, like, in the film's defense, I can see, like, we all have those films that, I mean, we've talked about nostalgia ad nauseum on this podcast. I can see where if you watch this film at the right age, the right things going on in your life, whatever, this really is going to resonate with you.
Yeah.
That wasn't me. I was a little, like I said, this was 1984. I was 2 when this came out. You weren't even born.
Yep.
So
my wife wasn't even born.
So that being said, yeah, it's, as far as John Hughes fair goes, it's kind of middle of the road to slightly less middle of the road for me.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, this just, like we've been talking about this whole podcast, it just does not age. It does not age well at all.
Yeah.
So it's tough to take off the progressive vision I have now. And try to, and I've tried to be fair to it to a point, but like I've said, some of those lines are just completely inexcusable for any time outside after 1930.
Yeah. I will say, as you say, I did enjoy watching the film.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would.
It has some chuckles, it has some good laughs, it has some good scenes.
Yeah, it just also had other things that really, like, especially in this day and age, and obviously, even back then, I'm sure it was pushing the envelope just a smidgen. Just not quite a film for today's audience. However, I would still recommend seeing it, just knowing, if you haven't seen it already, just know that this stuff is in there. Just kind of be prepared for it, and just try and gloss over it in your mind and just let the rest of the film do the talking.
Yeah. And that's it, and if you really just want to watch, like, not really want to see the film, it is only, like, I think 92, 93 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's an hour and 32 minutes, and that's with credits.
But, even slightly out of context, I would still watch the car scene with Molly and Farmer Ted. I would still watch the dad and Molly scene.
I would still watch the wedding scene,
the wedding,
and also
the Ted and Jake scene in the kitchen. Even though it has the worst line in the film,
you would watch half of that scene.
Yeah, watch half of that scene because it is kind of a nice thing you're not used to, like we said, with the jock and the geek talking.
I will actually say the entire dance. That whole thing, I think, is really good, especially where they're the point where Ted gets the underwear, and so they end up. He ends up coming out of a toilet store and just holding him up high.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
And should we look to the future for these two? Because I don't think it ends too well. Because she's a sophomore, he is a senior, presumably probably going to college on some sort of scholarship. Or maybe but
I don't know. They never go in. We only see these characters for just under 2 days.
He's someone that's comfortable lending out his then girlfriend to just anyone. But either way,
and seems slightly less annoyed at the fact that his house has been trashed for a second time than I would be.
Yeah, like, if you're the popular dude in school, like, wouldn't you expect your friends to be a little cooler than that at your house?
Yeah.
Like, dude, just fucking clean up a little.
Yeah,
and not just throw shit all over my couch.
It is kind of just a hard cut to, like, everyone's gone.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's 16 candles.
Yeah, I would recommend watching it, as I said, just with the knowledge that there is some stuff in here that does not do well now.
It kind of feels like talking to your great-grandpa.
Yes. Yeah, see, the guy that you kind of dread having over on holidays
Yeah, let me tell you about how America used to be.
So yes, I think that's going to have to be it from us. Otherwise, we're going to keep going.
Yes, exactly. All right.
Well, I've been Paul.
I've been Brian.
See you guys.
Bye.